afternoon, comic book day geeks, and welcome to issue 79 of the Script Heroes podcast. I'm Katie.
And I'm Joseph, and today we're going to be talking about Batman and Robin, issue 22, Batman Dark Patterns, issue 7. We're jumping on a Conan the Barbarian with issue 21. Right. It is the start of a new story arc, though. Mm-hmm. TMNT, issue 9, Mutant Nation, issue 7, Frankenstein, New World, The Sea of Forever, issue 4, and Snow Monkey, issue 2. Quite a few books there.
That's right, quite a few books, a number of them inspired by Free Comic Book Day.
Yes.
Conan and Snow Monkey, both great pulls from
yes.
Free Comic Book Day. Be sure to hit subscribe to add us to your pull list, and let's jump right into Batman.
Batman Dark Patterns, issue 7. The writer of the series is Dan Waters. He's worked on Nightwing, Lucifer, and The Six Fingers. The artist is Hayden Sherman, who is also doing Absolute Wonder Woman and has also worked on Chicken Devil and Detective Comics. The colorist is Triona Farrell, and the letter is Frank Kavetovic. Katie, you are a huge Hayden Sherman fan and a huge Dan Waters fan.
I am.
We quite enjoyed the last story arc. I think I had a little more issues with the conclusion of it than you did.
Yes. It was a little anticlimactic, which was a bit of our problem with the first arc as well.
I think also a little bit of the problem with doing 3-issue arcs in general.
Yeah.
You're like really compressing it there.
It's hard to get like a really good build.
Yeah. But we have the start of a new arc here.
The start of a new arc and the start of, I think perhaps very intentionally so, you know the old adage of like, once is chance, twice is coincidence, 3 is a pattern?
Yeah.
We have the start of the dark pattern happening here. The Batman himself is identifying. So it seems like the start of what's going to be kind of the overarching story of this book, which is super cool. And the connections to all of these fires and stuff. And we get some fun little crumbs. One, it's great to have a Batman book set in the past because it does mean we get Alfred back. He's like so deeply, sorely missed in present continuity, being deceased. So it's great to have a book where he's back, and I love in Alfred interacting with a younger Bruce, like a pre-Robin Bruce. It's such a different dynamic where they get to be kind of a dynamic duo, and I feel like Alfred gets to like really stretch his muscles a little bit more. In this case, with a bunch of Gotham history, which, as we all know, I am a sucker for. I love when Gotham feels like a living character in the Batman universe, and I think that this is one where it doesn't feel quite like Dan Waters is doing something brand new like it did with The Wound Man, or a like really fun turn on a classic like he did with Ventriloquist. This feels like a kind of hybrid of that in the middle, because we get an allusion to the Red Hood gang from Alfred. And their origin dunking people's heads in bleach to burn their faces off to make them red, which is so crazy, so rad. I love that we get this like fucked up bit of Gotham lore, and I know that I'm such a Hayden Sherman shill, but I really love the art in this issue. There are all of these little spaces where you're meant to see little faces, because it's something that's like haunting Bruce and something that he's thinking about a lot, and I really enjoyed that going on as well. So I think that this is, as each arc has been, this is a strong start. I think that it is missing a little bit of the hook of the first two. Like the Wound Man was so like immediately fucked up and like drew you in, and obviously the ventriloquist taking over an entire building was like very wow inducing. So I think that we're missing a little bit of that, but I think the fact that we're leaning into Red Hood gang, which might suggest a Joker situation, does kind of, it gets you excited.
Yeah, a little bit. I think you're right that it's missing the hook, and I think that without that, I don't know that it does much of anything.
That is
like
very fair.
It's very well made, and we say this a lot when it comes to like these great creative teams, even with like kind of subpar issues compared to what they usually do, where it's like it's still very well made. The dialogue is good. The art is good. Like, it is well made. But, and maybe it's just part of me wising up to, like, the 3-issue arcs, and so when I'm sitting here and we haven't quite gotten the hook yet, and we haven't really moved much in the first issue, I'm like, oh no, we don't have the space for this. But part of it is also just that I don't know if this issue, like, did enough to get me excited without that hook. Fair. I don't know that, like you said, in the first 2 story arcs, I remember reading both of those first issues being like, oh, I am here for this. We saw the Wound Man. I'm like, that's a cool new Batman, villain, antagonist. We saw the building being Scarface, and I was like, holy shit, that's a cool idea.
Insane.
I'm excited for that. This issue, and, like, I think hardcore detective Batman fans might enjoy this more because it is, like, a lot of Batman kind of detectiving. But I think that that's a hard thing to strike because I don't know that it, like, really feels like he's doing anything particularly, like, interesting or like super, detective-y in this issue. And it feels a lot more just like characters kind of walking around and talking, which is, like,
he's being told a lot of stuff as opposed to figuring a lot of stuff out.
Exactly. And the other thing is, I really do like Hayden Sherman's artwork, and I think that there's good stuff. I also think that this kind of issue is less suited for Hayden Sherman than some of the other issues.
Because their Batman is so exciting.
That too, like, and I also don't think they're not my favorite, like, characters kind of interacting in a more, like,
we've talked about this with Absolute Wonder Woman as well.
Like, I think that their art kind of starts looking a little funky in those moments, especially because Hayden Sherman's really committed to these weird layouts. And sometimes it's like, this page did not need a weird layout because it's not really, like, that kind of
have you considered how fun the Batmobile driving page was?
It was. No, there's some great pages in this too. I held some up, like the one where the building is burning. This close-up is really, really good. Like, the scenes where it makes sense, it's great. But there are some scenes here where it's like, I don't know why we have a wild layout here because it doesn't really fit the type of moment that it is.
Nothing wild is happening on the page.
Yeah, exactly. Cover's gorgeous too, by the way, though. Hayden Sherman's been killing the covers of Batman Dark Patterns.
Astounding.
Again, great creative team. It's still a very, like, good, solid issue. I just don't really know what I was meant to, like, grab onto in this issue and get excited for.
No, for sure. Yeah, I think that comes with the kind of missing hook situation. Yeah. But it's a team that I do have faith in.
Absolutely.
Maybe if we aren't as jazzed about the first issue, it'll just be a reversal of the previous ones.
Which I'll take. If we can actually, like, ramp up this time, I'll take that. Yeah.
Absolutely. But this is not the only Batman book we have to talk about this week.
Oh.
How many Batman books are you reading, dear viewer? And how many Batman books do you like to see on the shelf? Is there too much Batman right now? I'm a proponent of no, there's not. But let's go talk about Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin, number 21. This comes to us from writer Philip Kennedy Johnson of Action Comics and Green Lantern War Journal. The artists are Javi Fernandez of Spawn, Nightwing, and Magneto, and Carmine Giandomenico of Flash, X-Factor, and the Joker. The colorist is Marcello Mialo, and the letterer is Steve Wands. Jay, we are in theoretically arc 2 of our reading of Batman and Robin. But it is the same arc.
It's the same arc.
Let's say we're in volume 2. Because it's clearly just DC splitting it for the trades.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's very drawn out at this point. I will say, that fellow right there is a good way to hook me.
I do love Etrigan on this
podcast. Etrigan. Etrigan is a fantastic character. That being said, there's a lot of this issue that doesn't feature Etrigan. And I'm, like, I was thinking about this as I was reading this issue. I'm like, am I upset about this issue, or am I just upset that we're still in this arc? And I think it's the latter. I think I'm just burnt out on this arc. I think this was actually one of the better issues of this arc.
Yeah.
Like, I think that this does a lot really, really well. I want to say also, just because we don't tend to call this out as often, I think Marcello Mialo is a fantastic colorist in this series, in this arc, in this issue particularly. I just want to give them credit because the coloring in this issue is utterly phenomenal.
Really, really fun stuff. Great tonally.
But absolutely. But yeah, like, I like kind of what this issue is building to. I like where we go. I think that this issue, even on its own, is still a little slow in terms of like moving through the beats. I think in general, this arc just feels so drawn out. And I think that Memento for me just doesn't feel like a character that deserves this long of an arc. And I think we talked about it because like we still haven't gotten enough. It's not like it's this like real slow, unfurling where we start figuring all this stuff out. It's a lot more like, oh, they tried something and it wasn't right, and then they're gonna go and try something and it's not gonna be right until we finally kind of get there, which for me has made me very burnt out on it. So I feel like I should enjoy this issue more than I did because I think it's a very good issue. I'm just a little done with Memento at this point.
Yeah, I think one of the big problems with Memento is that so much of the interaction we get with Memento is reacting to his crimes after, like reacting to his victims. So we've had a few encounters with Memento that I think have actually been really effective, where he's been like this kind of hulking, spooky figure. But we don't get those very often because we can't get those very often if we're not supposed to catch Memento yet. We did get what I was talking about for a while, which is that the Lortak, the detective, did reveal that she does recognize Bruce as Jack, or recognize Batman as Jack. Because it's like, if you're working on literally like the case that you worked with this person, I think, and you're supposed to be a good detective, it's like, okay, maybe this is one where we want this person to figure things out. It didn't really amount to anything though, which was a bummer. Especially because she doesn't even know who Bruce is, so it felt a little toothless to be like, oh yeah, young Jack. It's like, okay, but it didn't really do anything to reveal. Like it didn't do anything for her character, it didn't do anything for the plot. So it was not the reveal that I was hoping for. Which is fine. I think that the kids, the irregulars, are, I think, pretty well written. They feel like well-written kids, which is something we've talked about a number of times on the pod.
It's a tough
I think it helps that they're like street kids, so they had to grow up a little quick. But I think that they had a really fun thing going on, and I did like the ending of this issue. I like where we ended up at the very end.
Fully
and
agreed.
It does feel like we did get a little bit of momentum, like with all the backstory that Etrigan gave us, and the stuff that Detective Ply, the mentor, the stuff that he had been doing. I think that was good info, and so like I think that this is actually an issue where we get a little more than we've gotten in previous issues.
I agree.
And I do think that it is, in the overarching story, one of the issues that I've enjoyed quite a bit. And it makes me think like, oh, this feels like it could be a penultimate issue. But oh no.
One would hope. I want to run something by you, because then we can run it by the audience and get their thoughts. Because I was thinking about it specifically reading this issue, and I was like, I wonder if one of the big like issues with this drawn out arc in this issue is the modern day comic book thing of not having much of a civilian identity and cast. Because my thought is, drawing out an arc this long would work better if we weren't constantly in superhero mode investigating it.
Really fair.
Because we had those breaks where it was like, oh, here's like the civilian story that's going on as well around it.
And even at the start of the arc, Damian had his civilian stuff going on. So it broke it up a little bit there, but you're right, now that Damian isn't like volunteering at the hospital anymore, and he and Bruce aren't having their like interpersonal conflict, it's a lot, it feels even slower. Because there's not that other stuff to break it up.
But I think we can throw that to people at home. Are you, upset that a lot of superhero books, especially big 2 books nowadays, don't really have much of a civilian identity or civilian supporting cast, that it's kind of all superheroes all the time? Or do you like all superheroes all the time? Let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments down below. And we're going to go talk about some very complicated civilian identities with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Let's do it.
Heroes in a Half Shell.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 9.
In a Half Shell.
The writer of the series is Jason Aaron, who's worked on Thor, The Avengers, and Wolverine. The artist is Juan Ferrer, who's worked on Batman and Robin and Green Arrow. And the letter is Sean Lee. We're really into this arc now, Katie.
Yes.
Talk to me about it.
I'm going to open up with, oh my god, love that you opened directly to this beautiful, like, double splash sequence of fight.
It's all over the internet.
I love a good, like, all-in-one sequence, like, all-in-one shot sequence. Like, I feel like Nightwing gets that treatment so often, because he's, like, such a bounce-around type of hero. I'm such a sucker for it. It immediately had me so excited. I was like, this is
I must
beautiful,
admit,
and I love it.
it made me feel stupid because I struggled for a little bit to figure out how to read it.
I will say the dialogue, the caption boxes were a little funky on it. They were a
it's because
little.
they
They
wanted
were a
you to
little
follow
funky.
him up the stairs, but that's like the opposite. It's literally the opposite direction that you usually read a comic book in.
It was certainly funky, but the art was phenomenal on it.
Oh yeah,
and the art has just been phenomenal on this series, absolutely. But we have the boys separated still, which is it remains my like big gripe with this book is I want to see all four of them together as brothers, because we started with the 4 single issue books for them, and then we had them kind of come together, but they're fighting, and then Donnie fucks off, and like there's like there's no harmony with the Turks. And like I get that this is the start of what's presumably going to be a very long series, so like they can take their time, and I appreciate that we're taking our time, but I'm glad that we seem to be maybe closing in a way. But yeah, this issue I actually really liked. I find that Mikey is not my favorite character, especially in this universe. Like I didn't find his TV show stuff super
I think his character
exciting.
has been a little weird in this series.
But I think that this issue did a lot of good for him. I think that he got to, because a lot of this was Mikey on his own, he got to like be the star a little bit more. So less of his personality was just him and Raph arguing, though there was still plenty of that. But I think that he got to both be a kind of like silly version of himself, like when he was like tapping into his excitement about his TV show, but he also got to have like some self-serious moments and some reflective moments that I think really served him and helped deepen his character in a way that I think the other turtles may have gotten more of at the start of the series. And so it's nice to see him get that a little bit, because this is one that made me like Mikey a lot more in this series. Also, so much good action in this.
Juanfer's been killing it, honestly.
Really amazing.
But this felt really like, honestly, in my opinion, the first issue that had like really like, it's such a weird thing, but really like Ninja Turtle-y action. Like I don't know why. Like this felt like the first like, okay, Foot Clan, Ninja Turtles, like basic good shit, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this issue. I think they did a good job. All I want is for the brothers to come back together and be brothers again.
No spoilers, but I do think that we're on that track.
Yes,
for sure. I really like the ending of this issue, and I wish I could hold it up. There is a page, like a big panel that is, I think, my favorite Ninja Turtles panel of the relaunch so far.
Love it.
Like it is just such good.
I think I might know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just it felt so Ninja Turtle. Yeah, I'll show you once we stop rolling. Yeah, this was a very good issue. The art was phenomenal, like top to bottom in this issue. Good. I think Jason Aaron did a lot of really, really good stuff. I like a lot of the turtle personalities in this issue. I will say I don't love the focus on the dead rat. Like I thought it was going to be like, oh, Donnie, was focused on the dead rat, but like Splinter is really trying to talk to them, but that's not actually connected to the dead rat. And the rest of the turtles will hear Splinter, but it won't be connected to the dead rat. No, it's connected to the dead rat, and like that is like
Leo starts wearing the dead rat.
Yeah, I feel like that's a weird choice. Like them still being connected to Splinter, absolutely. Spiritual stuff is huge in TMNT, but it being wrapped around the dead rat, a little weird. And I am hoping that at some point they do realize that the dead rat's not actually like an important part of it. That's like my only gripe with this issue. Other than that, it's phenomenal. I really like all the setup, and honestly, to transition us in, it plays really well with this week's Mutant Nation issue and what that's kind of doing. I like the way that they're building out the universe right now.
Yeah, they're giving us a lot of good just across the board.
That they are.
But speaking of Mutant Nation, time to talk about it. TMNT Mutant Nation number 7. This has, of course, 2 stories, as all of the Mutant Nations have. Story 1 is writer Eric Burnham of TMNT, Saturday Morning Adventures, Ghostbusters, and Transformers Beast Wars, with artist Michael Shelfer of Action Comics, Dune, and Domino. Then Story 2 comes from writer Paul Allor of TMNT Universe, Marvel Rivals, and G.I. Joe, and artist Gavin Smith, friend of the pod of TMNT, of course, and if you've been listening to us, you know all about Heartpiercer and Star Trek. The colorist across the whole issue is Rhonda Pattinson, and the letter is Russ Wooten. Jay.
Yes.
You love Mutant Nation.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about this is just, like, the book for all the, like, original IDW TMNT creators to, like, be on, while they have, like, this new, you know, famous creators on, like, you know, the main book. So, finally having Gavin Smith back on more TMNT is pretty great. Eric Burnham and Paul Allor have done other Mutant Nation stories and stuff. Obviously, they're big TMNT guys. Michael Shelfer, I don't think has ever done TMNT, so you know, we got one new name on this book. But mainly it's kind of your IDW original IDW TMNT guys, which is very nice for somebody who loves that interpretation and that story of the turtle so much. I know you're a big fan of Eric Burnham's kind of Foot Clan oriented stuff. We get another story revolving around that in the first half here. I do think, in my opinion, that's the stronger of the 2 stories, which makes sense. It has the more space. It's the front story, and that's the story that I was talking about being like so well built into what's going on in the current TMNT book. Like this is kind of
talked about if you missed it.
Yes, right before this. So like this is us being like, oh, okay, Karai is not really there, which is interesting, and how's that going to play out? What is actually going to be going on there with Karai? And I like that a lot. I like seeing a bunch of our, you know, old Foot Clan characters here, because the current Foot Clan is mainly like faceless ninjas in the main book, so it's nice to see like the name Foot Clan characters here. This was a good, solid issue is how I feel about it. I don't think it did anything like crazy, but it was very good. Gavin Smith's art in the second story is phenomenal.
The moose,
the dung beetle, honestly, is
the
what
dung
was
beetle.
So good.
Death of the dung beetle.
Spoilers, everybody.
I guess that is towards the end.
Yeah. But in any case, there's a lot to really like about this issue. I think it's a very I think a lot of Mutant Nation, outside of like the first arc, has just been like good, entertaining books that don't like do a lot. But the first story is actually very plot significant as well, so it gets a little plus up there too. But I really enjoyed Mutant Nation.
Yeah, I will say I actually found the first story a little dense, because I have really liked the Eric Burnham Foot Clan stuff, but a lot of that has been how much I've liked his Karai, and I think especially as someone who has zero familiarity with these characters, having this like kind of villain focused thing with characters who I'm not familiar with, I've no shorthand for them at all. Like, at least with Karai, I'm like, okay, I know who that is, and she was with Casey, who obviously, you know who Casey is.
Yes.
And so this one I think was a little less accessible than the other ones.
That's true.
Like, I have never seen these characters before in my life, and a lot of what they were banking on was like established relationships of these characters. So I did feel that one was a little tough to get through. I also find D.A. Hale a little he's a little cardboard.
Yeah, he's a little mustache twirly,
Exactly, so having him focused on in there as well also didn't help. I actually really, really liked the second story. I feel like it did a lot of good work for establishing this world, because like you've said, a lot of what we've seen of the Foot Patrol has been them just like as this kind of faceless mob, and I feel like this gave both issues of it did, but I think especially the second one, because it's so much of what it focused on, gave a lot of insight into like who the people in the Foot Patrol are. And I really liked the moose, but I also really loved that Mad Cave book Dear Editor. So like maybe I just love the antlered
That's fair. And you get the beautiful Gavin Smith artwork with it, so you know.
Exactly. And I'm not going to say that didn't play a role. I thought it was a wonderful issue.
Whoa.
But yeah, so
No,
I
all
think,
very
like
fair.
you said, solid across the board. These books
Yeah.
have just been fun to read. It lost me a little bit in the first one, but
No, that's fair. I
aside
think a lot of
from
the first
feeling like I
issue
was,
is being like, here are characters that I know, and I'm glad to see them back and see.
yeah,
Because for me, it is like with some of the stuff with the jump, it's like, well, but there's characters that should be doing things or that should have reactions to this. So when Mutant Nation's going, here's why
here
these
they are
characters are not.
reacting.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, okay, good. I'm, because I am going, why are the, like, Mutant Foot Clan people not,
Jen
having.
is also so much of that type of person of like,
Oh, yeah.
you haven't told me what's happening in this corner of the universe yet. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, especially because I think before this relaunch, like, it was such a tight universe of like, okay, we're not going to renumber the book. All the tie-ins are going to lead directly in, and we're going to tell you when you should be reading them and all that stuff. Like, it's the IDW books are such a like tight universe before this relaunch that like when now things are maybe not explained because of the time jump and stuff. I'm like, I miss knowing
it's
everything.
Like the new 52.
Yeah, exactly. Except this is really good.
Hey, look, I liked a lot of the new 52. People can come at me.
That's because you're a Batman fan and I was a Green Lantern fan, and those were the books that got fucked over the least because they didn't reboot anything.
But in any case, if you've been reading Mutant Nation, are you incredibly sad that I believe it's ending in 2 issues?
Yeah, I believe 9 is going to be the last one because there's just so many TMNT books starting up. We got Shredder, Casey.
But that's fine. Cowards.
Of the Mirage issues.
It's TMNT. People will buy it. We will buy it.
That's true.
How do you feel about this whole Foot Patrol thing going on? Like this not really Foot Clan police force activated by Hale? Let us know down below. And we are going to hustle right along over to oh no, it's got such a long title and I didn't write any of it down. Frankenstein,
New World,
Sea of Forever.
Frankenstein, New World, The Sea of Forever, issue 4. We have 3 writers on this book. Of course, Mike Mignola, famous for Hellboy. Christopher Golden, who's worked on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Punisher, and Dr. Fate. Tom Snegoski of Vampirella and Wolverine Punisher. And the artist on this book is Peter Bergting of Baltimore, Mortal Terror, and Crisis. The colorist is Michelle Madsen, and the letter is Clem Robbins. So many people on this book. We've said it doesn't feel like it. So
no, it's such a cohesive team. We've talked at length about how the Mignola universe achieves that. So go to previous episodes if you want to hear us gush about that. I will gush about how good Peter Berting's art is. It's so gorgeous. It's so beautiful, and I think with Madsen's colors as well, especially as we have such a dark issue. We have a lot of underwater sequences. We have so much beautiful shadow. And in previous issues, we've had that, but it's been kind of countered by scenes in the light. And this one just really gets to be a really beautiful dark issue. I feel like we got a little bit, and I'm going to qualify this after. I feel like we got Giant Robot Hellboy a little bit again, where it's I feel like before this point, the book was not as shallow as Giant Robot Hellboy seemed at first.
Yes.
But it was very kind of I feel surfacey, and then this issue again, I feel really just hit me in the gut. Where I was oh my god, the storytelling on these teams is so good. I am glad that we, just by coincidence, read Hellboy's death a year and a half ago, which is referenced here, because it was his technical death or something. When the mermaids murdered him. I feel being able to look back on that was so beautiful. I will say though, with because everything this book has done well, it continues to do well.
Yes.
I felt a little starved for interaction between Frankenstein and Lila, because it's a lot of kind of separate stuff going on, but then they get a good bit at the end. The one thing that I actually had a gripe with this issue is this felt like the first issue where I felt a little bit lost in the universe.
I agree. There's a lot.
Maybe we should have read Frankenstein New World before reading Frankenstein New World Sea of Forever. I felt that in this one more than I have in previous ones. Because I feel especially at the beginning, they did a really good job of bringing people in and making it very approachable. And then I think it stands to reason that as it shoots to whatever the next series is going to be, that it's gets a little higher concept, a little more outside of the scope of the series. But yeah, that was really my only gripe. I really enjoyed this issue. I think that it had a lot of really beautiful emotional dialogue, and it made me feel things.
Yeah, I agree. I have to start with. I think I've said this in other issues. I love these dudes. These dudes are like my favorite. They are so fun.
The funky little fellas.
So I love their little tribe. It's very fun. And I feel like it speaks to a lot of the Magnoliverse's ability to like have these just little groups or these little like sects, and it's like they're just so interesting. Like you could probably tell a whole book about them, which is very fun to me. Yeah, I think you hit on a lot of what's right. Like this is a lot of Frankenstein New World has been like this book that really has like room to breathe with what it's doing, because like they're basically giving entire series to what in a lot of books would be like issues or 2-issue, arcs in the over, arching story. It's like, no, this like little side questy, like this little tribe and all this like gets an entire series instead of being, a single issue that's moving out. So it has all this room to breathe. And the reason that it can do that is like it's such a beautiful and well written and like poetic book that you don't feel like, oh, we're not moving enough. Like, no, you feel like you're still getting a lot emotionally, like you said, and a lot of that. And yeah, I agree. This issue does a lot to crank that up. There certainly is, I think, an ability to get lost in this issue because there's kind of a lot coming at you and we're jumping and there's all this stuff going on. So yeah, I think that is something that just knocked it down a little bit to me, but it's like
agreed. Something
about the Magnoliverse is like, even when you get lost, it still just feels so good to read. Right? I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
It like has this really good vibe to it that like makes you kind of buy into the world and to what's going on. So yeah, another great issue from Frankenstein New World to See It Forever. And I'm ready for Frankenstein New World to See It Forever third subtitle coming up next.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just a beautiful book, as every fucking Mignola book is.
Yes.
But we have a couple more books to talk about today.
Yes.
But before we do, have you been reading Frankenstein New World to See It Forever? Have you been completely up to date on the New World of the Hellboy universe? Yeah. And if so, who's your favorite little guy in it?
And what Magnoliverse book should we read next? Let us know if there's any coming up that you want to see us jump onto, or
I know that Mignola has a brand new, like completely independent series popping up soon.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm sure. But for now, we're gonna go over to new to us series with Conan the Barbarian number 21.
Let's do it.
Conan the Barbarian number 21. This is coming to us from writer Jim Zub of Skull Kickers, Avengers, and Samurai Jack. The artist is Fernando Dagnino of Justice League, Blade Runner, and Captain Midnight. The colorist is Diego Rodriguez, and the letterer is Richard Starkings. Jay, we read the Conan the Barbarian Free Comic Book Day tease.
It was very good.
And that inspired us to pick up Conan the Barbarian number 21.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
So, Conan the Barbarian. I tried to read this a while ago, the beginning of Conan, of the series. I don't remember a lot of that. I do remember the captions being a bit dense, which does continue here. Jim Zub does kind of go back to it. I think some of it's probably trying to mimic like that classic Conan feel. He does go back to like describing things that you can just see.
I was literally about to say Jim Zub taking a leaf out of Stan Lee's playbook.
Yeah, like that. Unnecessary, and I'm gonna guess it's actually probably a leaf out of Roy Thomas's original Conan writer's book.
I just like to roast Stan Lee for doing that all the time.
That's super fair. That aside, this is a gorgeous book. Fernando,
beautiful.
Dagnino, holy shit! Exactly kind of what I'm picturing when I think of a Conan artist, and then I open up this book and it's like, yeah, that's what that book should look like. And it's also
hard to compete with the Dan Panacine cover.
Oh my god, yeah, the cover, gorgeous.
Gorgeous, but then you open it up and I was like, oh, it's not Dan Panacea, but there was like, oh my god, it's beautiful.
This is also a plot that is very like built for me. I love a like creepy, like something's not right here, and like everybody's kind of buying into it except for the hero who has to like, figure out what's wrong and then save it. I love that type of plot. It's probably done to death, to the point that I think the second we read like the second page of this, we're like, I know what's coming. I know what's going on here. Doesn't make it any less entertaining, especially for like a Conan type book. So I really enjoyed the story here. There's a lot of really good action. I will say there's some moments where like we don't get the action and I'm a little bit disappointed, but luckily that does kind of, I guess, save space for when we do get action for it to be like awesome and big and expressive, and I really like that. And the issue ender here, very, very cool, and leans into another Joseph kind of trope that I will very much get excited for. So I really enjoyed this issue. I thought this was really entertaining. Yeah, captions, maybe chill a little bit, Jim's but other than that, I think it's a very good issue.
I love when we read a book on the pod and it's so up one of our alley and so not up the other one. Like, I am such an ensemble girly. I'm like, I don't want the hero to be the only one who knows that something's going on. Like, it felt like Conan
well, you know,
was
you chose to jump onto a Wandering Barbarian book, so maybe, you know.
Look, I know. And we've tried it before with Red Sonja. And it's one of those...
that had a whole other...
Yeah.
That Red Sonja book we read, though, had a whole other host of issues.
It's one of those things where one of, I think, the things that I've really liked in, because we've read a few other like one-shots for a number of like holiday specials, and one of the things that I think can be really successful with these books is when they have a really compelling like secondary character, who the Wandering Barbarian like meets, like a companion character, and I felt like I didn't get like a good person for Conan to interact with, so it was such a solo book for him. And maybe it's because I don't have a lot of connection to Conan himself, but I was like, I don't know that I'm like really bought into like him as a person yet. And it's one of those things where it can verge into a little bit of a like almost uninteresting thing when it's like, oh, he's the only one who knows what's going on. Like, don't worry. We only care about this one hero, and don't worry, he is the biggest and strongest and smartest character. And I'm like, I don't know that I'm like super bought into him. In the Free Comic Book Day issue, we were having this like cute little heist moment. Cute is not the right word. It was like a really a really exciting heist thing where he got to use his skills, and it felt like, you know, it was done with a lot of intention. And then here I'm like, it kind of feels like he just had the answer for this already, and the times that he loses fights don't necessarily seem like it's like, oh well, of course he's gonna lose because the entire town was fighting him. So it just felt like when he was losing, it was against like insurmountable odds. And like the single issue, it's the start of an arc. But I guess I'm
sets up a new villain
failing more at the start of an arc, as opposed to someone who like succeeds and seems like the most competent and skillful person in the room at any given time.
That's fair.
But beautiful art. Dear listeners, are you a fan of the Wandering Barbarian book? Do you have a favorite companion that Conan has had over the years? I don't think his friend in this book is going to be anyone's favorite. She doesn't get much to do.
No, I don't even remember what her name is. I was quickly looking for it when you said that.
You better bone this woman so that she's too tired to get killed. In any case, we have one more book to talk about. It's time to go talk about Snow Monkey.
Snow Monkey issue 2. The writer of this book is Jason Shaw, and this is his first big published comic book. The artist is Hubert Kahn Michael, who's worked on Vampirella, The Owl, and The Antagonists. The colorist is Chuck Michael Obach, and the letterer is Seda Temafonte. Katie.
Yes.
Talk to me about Snow Monkey 2. We quite enjoyed the first issue. And
we really liked Snow Monkey 1. We were so enthralled by the Free Comic Book Day preview of the first half of Snow Monkey #1, and then the second half frankly delivered beyond the preview that we were super excited about. So that was really, really fun. Issue 2, I think, is also good. I really enjoyed issue 2 as well. I do think that issue 1 had a lot more going on with it. Like, we
Yes,
have
agreed.
the introduction of a new character in this one, and we follow a little bit of what she has going on, and we do get a fun fight with Snow Monkey and the dragon's breath, which I yet again quite enjoyed. But I feel like we almost focused a little bit too much on the civilian side, which is funny because you were just complaining about not getting enough of that.
I feel like this book has
Batman.
a very interesting civilian side to it.
Yeah, a very up Jay's alley civilian side, like the kind of ninjas in high school.
I love that.
Yeah, he loves a ninja school. But so I think that this book took off running at such a like great pace.
Yes.
That even though this issue is still good, I still very much enjoyed it. It does feel like a bit of a slowdown from the first issue.
Fully agreed.
Yeah. But I still really enjoyed what's going on. I think that the lore around the like mystical helmet is really cool. I do wish we got a little bit more of that in this one.
Yeah.
And I found Jennifer, our main character, Snow Monkey, in her civilian life to be a little less charming than she was in the first one.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that there were a lot of things that I really, really loved in the first issue that didn't quite carry over to this second one, but it was still an enjoyable read.
I agree with all of that. The civilian identity stuff is a little rough in this issue. Like, I think there's a lot of beats that could be good, but we're just like trying to kind of get to them so they don't land as well. Like, a lot of kind of the emotion with Jennifer, like compared to the other students, feels a little like forced because we don't really see it build up. With when we have an entire issue for civilian stuff too, feels a little weird that like we kind of start there instead of having that build. And then I'm trying to think of it. Okay, I don't think it's too late to spoil. We have her, with her new friend at the school, and she reveals her identity to him, which is kind of weird. The way that it's played is weird. Like, she seems to have no concern over doing that and just kind of like tells him what's going on, and his reaction is maybe not quite what you'd expect. Like, it's a weird identity reveal that didn't really land the way that I would have wanted it to land. Like I said, so the action that we do get in this issue is very, very good. I wish we got a bit more of it. I like the design of this new villain character quite a bit. It looks very cool. But yeah, I think a lot of what the first issue did really, really well wasn't super here in this issue. I think the ending of this issue, where we get more of like her family side, because there's like kind of there's the hero side, the school side, and the family side are kind of like the three bits we get. I think the family side is the strongest part of this issue. I think it's really, really good. I think everything so far with her and her father has been phenomenal in the series, and I do think that's good because that's the central relationship and conflict
that's like the driving force of it.
So that's how it still like maintains its forward momentum for me. But I do think that space probably could have been better used in this issue too.
Agreed. But did you pick up Snow Monkey? Did you read the free comic book day version? How do you feel about ninja high schools? Let us know the answer to that and all of our other questions for the episode down below in the comments. But now it is time for us to make our decisions. Jay, are you ready with a pull list rec?
No, I'm between two books right now.
Okay. Jeez. How are you? I'm also not ready with a pull list rec.
Okay.
Let's see. I am stalling, which is why I am speaking right now to really kind of fill.
I'll go.
Okay, yeah, you go.
Yeah. I'm gonna give my pull list recommendation this week to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 9. I think that this is a very good Turtles issue. The Turtles are starting to really feel like the Turtles again, which I really appreciate. And when Ty goes to the characters I care more about, and that's always going to be the Ninja Turtles. So
amazing.
Yeah, TMNT issue 9.
I'm actually also going to give mine to TMNT issue 9. I think that it was really well done. Like I said, it did a lot of good for Mikey's character, and I really like where it leaves us for going forward with the series.
Fully agree with that. So double pull list recommendation. You know the rules. That means you're financially, legally obligated to purchase it. So go get yourself TMNT issue 9.
And when you're in the car driving to the comic book shop, I have great news for you. We have bonus content that you can turn on during that drive. Jay, what came out this past week?
This past week, we is this the? No, I'm sorry. It's not what we have listed on our teleprompter.
Yes,
Is it? Is it? I thought we did.
We had a double
two,
this
didn't
past
we?
week. Yeah,
Yes, that's what's throwing me
terrible.
off here. Yeah. So we did. We had our strange Sunday Super Show, which actually came out on Monday because I'm bad. We reviewed Kaiju Score, a book about doing a heist during a kaiju attack. Very fun book. What was the other bonus episode we did? Oh, it was the Absolute Universe Month 8 recap and reviews episode. So that is also out there if you want to get all caught up with the Absolute Universe so that you can jump in this month.
Absolutely. And if you just can't get enough of us, we have another bonus episode coming for you this weekend. We are going to be reviewing Bylines in Blood, a kind of neo-noir detective reporter style story.
Yes, I have no idea what to expect. This is a Katie a Katie pick, and
yes, it is.
Yeah, so we'll see. But hopefully it's very good. But as always, we will also have a full list of polls for next week's main episode. Katie, do you want to tell the people what we will be reviewing?
Absolutely, it's the continuation of the brand new Invincible Presents Battle Beast or Invincible Universe Battle Beast.
Invincible
I know you were mad about
Battle
the verbiage.
Yeah, because they usually do Invincible Presents back in the
I can't believe they do this to you.
I know.
We've also got another Kirkman connection, Blood and Thunder #2.
Yes.
We have Bug Wars #5, Nightwing #127, Titans #24, and Exquisite Corpses #2 as well. It's a good week of #2s. Very exciting series.
For creator-owned stuff too. That's
yeah.
Fun times.
Love it.
But that's everything. If there's anything you want us to review or do on the show, you can let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, please subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Comic Geeks.